I'm Brittany Troche.
And I'm Tena Parker. And we are
Uniting Artists. Here to collaborate, educate, and elevate. Let's talk all things film industry.
Let's do it. Join us on our journey as we highlight a uniting artist. Hey there, it's Tena Parker and Brittany Troche. We are here on the Uniting Artists podcast. I know a lot of people have been asking us, what is Uniting Artist and who are you and why are you doing it? So this is our first attempt at our podcast, so bear with us as we do a little bit about us and tell you about Uniting Artist. I thought we'd just started out kind of like a Q&A with Brittany and I. So we were talking about maybe what we could talk about. And, we wanted to know when we first met each other, how did we get into this industry? And I have a background as I'm a second generation hairstylist for film, but I am so amazed by anybody that could get into this industry. So I'd like Brittany to tell you all about herself and how she got into this industry.
For me, it was something I feel like I always wanted to do. While you were, invited on set and getting trained in it from your mama bear, I feel like that's something that I probably always saw happening, but it didn't land exactly the same way. I remember some of the first times just walking into a beauty supply and smelling the perms from the 80s and being like, I'm going to do this too. My mom pretty much just cut our family's hair in our house, but I always saw myself potentially becoming a hairstylist or doing things for movies. I was early on very fascinated with Saturday Night Live, quick changes actually, Beetlejuice, just, a lot of those, just quirky 80s fun movies. So I always saw myself doing something like that in the future. And with my mom, she wanted to do this as well, but generationally, her parents did not necessarily agree. My mom was snuck into beauty school by my grandma while my grandpa didn't know. He was a college professor. So when they found out that she was working in a salon, when he found that out, he shipped her off to Utah to go to BYU, and you're going to get a real job and a real education. And so she really kind of withdrew that way. But I've always had a very beautiful example of creativity. My mom got into woodworking, crafts, arts and crafts. I saw her, do a variety of arts and sell them in boutiques. She was a wonderful baker, an amazing mom, but I feel like she has always just encouraged me to run with creativity, and she's been very supportive that way. So I feel like my ambition, my work ethic, my purpose is being in this industry for not only myself, but I'm pouring one for my mom as well.
I think that's so cool. Yeah, I'm a second generation hairstylist for film and TV. My mother's name is Benny Parker. She's up for the second time for a Lifetime Achievement Award for our local 706 Guild Awards. And unlike you, I just witnessed everything my mother was doing. Like that was her thing. And I thought I wanted to be a teacher, ironically. But with ADHD, as I got into college and note taking, it didn't go so well. But I was involved with musical theater. And I used to do my own hair and my peers, and my mom saw I had a bit of a talent there. So she wisely recommended me going to cosmetology school to at least have a trade that perhaps can help at least put me through college. But I didn't know how much I would fall in love with it. So unlike you, I didn't know that was my destiny. Brittany is an incredible artist, period. I've never known anybody that could do hair and makeup as beautifully as she does. She is equally talented in those. Yeah, you really are.
Sweet.
You are, though. And no ego. Ego's in her back pocket. She's happy for any opportunity. She is offered so many projects. We're living here in Utah together right now. And ironically, we both, did you start your career here in Utah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you ended up going to LA, and then you came back. So we both have that pattern, but of different times. Do you want to tell your story?
You tell your story.
My story. Well, I did live here in Utah in 1979 and 78 and 79 for a little bit. My mom actually started her career here. So I was in junior high in those years. And then I went off to live with my dad as she went off to LA to go after her dreams, as we have done. And I did not come back to Utah until 1989. So I'd gone through my cosmetology school in California and got licensed there. And a project came up in 1989 and my mother was called for it, but she was already committed to another thing. So she had kind of been training me, as you said, with my foot in the door. And she called me up and said, hey, somebody wants me to come work in Utah on some movie. Are you interested? Do you want me to put your name in? So she called them back and told them she could not do it, but that her daughter was now doing this and would they like her name and number. So I came out in 89 on a project and I ended up staying 14 years before I went to LA.
Wow.
So 89 to 03, I was here. What's yours?
From the day I was born, 1984, I was here until my senior year of high school, and I graduated beauty school my senior year as well. Kind of did did the high school program. I went to Von Curtis Academy, and I knew that I always wanted to dabble in fashion school, kind of expand on the arts and see how it could benefit my hair and makeup side as well. And so I moved out there when I was 17. My parents obviously had to move me out there for a couple of reasons, but mostly to open a bank account because I was too young to open my own bank account.
Oh my gosh.
So I moved out there when I was 17, went to the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, FIDM, and got a partial scholarship there, worked my butt off for it, and just started saying yes to every opportunity that I could. On the side, I started working at Staples Center, doing visual communications for their little team store there, and then started building my makeup kit, worked in a salon part-time out there, met a couple producers, and started working in reality TV and doing a couple documentaries. I think the first one I did was about teen pregnancy lessons learned. And then I worked on a reality show, like a Boys Town, the first like gay reality Boys Town TV series, which is pretty wild. But from there, really found some friends that have lasted forever and worked out there for about 7 years, said yes to every opportunity I could, and then moved back home for family reasons. And I was actually pretty intimidated. I didn't know if it was going to be a side step, a back step, a forward step. And so coming back and really committing to myself as a Paul Mitchell education representative, I taught school. I did a lot of beauty school subjects and tried to become a specialist in all areas. You know, a jack of all trades, being a master of all is really more my goal. And so I just started to say yes to more opportunities out here, film, commercial. I was on the education side heavily for about 15 years, did a world tour with Paul Mitchell artistic team and Robert Cromings for more than 15 years. What a remarkable opportunity. And I've been grateful for all of it. But recently, in the last about 5-6 years, I've stepped away from as much education. I do that more on the side instead of the main focus, but I've been mostly focusing on film for the last 5 to 6 years. So
that's amazing. Well, let's see. I graduated in 83 from high school. Mm-hmm. So you were just like punching out into the world, or being born, literally punching out. Oh my goodness. That's our generation gap. And it's really, I think, an asset to our perspective and our experience, and that we both have our egos in the back pocket, that we could join together, join our forces, because all of our background, all of our experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly is what brings us together. And I have to just side note here, when Brittany and I met just last year in the summer, we were working on a movie called Grizzly Night, and we were up in the mountains. We had an hour drive up to the top of Guardsman's Pass and an hour down every single night.
I don't remember. There's been so many hour drives. I'm on one right now. I don't even remember.
Yeah. And shooting nights on this rickety,
I do remember that.
On that rickety drive all the way up and down. Brittany and I had worked through hardship and hours and exhaust, and we're going through that again right now, as we do sometimes on these indie films, working on Homestead together right now. And Brittany is the department head makeup, and I am department head hair. So we are true collaborators, and we're trying to share the love when we have additional people working. We're trying to let the people in our community share the wealth. I digress, but we were definitely in California and Utah, so we share that bond. I ended up working in Utah 14 years non-union in this right-to-work state, and I ended up working a few movies with Robert Redford as his personal. And one movie I was able to have the opportunity to become Local 706, to join that guild in the artsy world in California. So in 2003, I punched out of Utah, and I have been working in the union world for a good 23 years now. And I got my kids through college. I'm so grateful for this industry as a single mom, being able to help out my family. But Now that they're through college and on their little roads of their journeys, I decided to come back to where I wanted to live. And that's why last year, 2023, I came back to Utah. So yeah, our roads have been very similar. I even did an application to fit them. I was going to go to the Fashion Institute.
And we both went to Orem Junior High.
We both went to Orem Junior High, generations apart, but so cool. There's just a lot of parallels that somehow in our timelines, we were meant to meet up. And that's how we understood some of our trials, our tribulations. I actually punched out for a year from 2022 to 23 and was going to punch out of the industry. And my husband, who's also an industry person, Jeff Curtis, said, we were looking where we were going to settle down next. And he said, what about Utah? And I said, you know what? I have so many friends there. They're like my family from my 20s and my OGs. And you know what? If I want to work in the film industry there, we didn't always make the most money, but we had a lot of fun. We felt the community and the collaboration. So we packed up everything, and that's how we landed here last summer.
Awesome.
And your husband, he's in the industry too.
Yeah, I just barely wrangled him in back in 2020. He has had many skills, but I think one of his best and most remarkable qualities is actually just putting a lot of love into food. He cares about people. And so, yeah, in 2020, when it kind of got a little weird and being here in a right to work state, we actually had more opportunity during COVID. We did shut down for a little bit, but it was very strict, but there was little opportunities to still get into film. And that's when, even though we were pulling back, they were requiring more personnel for COVID to amp up certain departments to make it extra more deliberately sanitary. And so he started working in crafting and food services then. And after a couple years of, being mentored and taught and trained, he started to get opportunities of his own. And so it's been a wonderful about 6 years. And yep, he's in it too. And your hubby's in it as well, right?
Yeah. My husband works for Cinemoves, which is a beautiful tribe of people. And they, same thing that we've been talking about, that the people we work with become our family.
Mm-hmm.
That we do spend more time with our crew families, if you will, than our families at home. When my babies were little, I'd go to work, they'd be asleep. I'd come back, they'd be asleep. I'd just pick up and hold them and smell them.
One of my favorite memes is actually, I think it's from Donnie Darko, but he comes home and he's like, "Hey mom, I made a friend." And it says, "Is it a real friend or a set friend?" And I actually feel like my set friends are more my real friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in so many ways, because we do see them more than our own families a lot of the times. And you've said so many times, it's like the normal world will work 9 to 5 while we work 5 to 9.
Yes.
And that's a lot of time with a person. I even did a haircut with a friend last night who's in the industry. She's my last one. And I usually book out an hour every haircut. And, checking out of the salon, I'm like, how was that a 2-hour haircut? We just started gabbing, And so it's really fun how I really do think that time can fly by when you're with set friends.
It's true.
I think we make really good, real quality friends and relationships. And under stress and under the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, you really do learn these people and can collaborate and show up and support for one another in different ways. Probably more ways than our families sometimes, because we are with each other.
It's true.
100% around the clock.
I agree. I feel like I've had more personal growth because we've had to work through things when we are exhausted, when we are under pressure. There could be misunderstandings. Just like I was talking with Brittany about, sometimes my husband and I have misunderstandings. I have an ADHD brain. It could be difficult to deal with on a daily basis and all day. And I thank you for the grace that you give me when sometimes we feel like we are literally talking different languages. She's like, "I think we're saying the same thing." I'm like, "I think so too, but I say it this way, you say it that way." It's almost like the Mars and Venus, women are from Mars, men are from Venus, women are from Venus, men are from Mars.
Yes.
ADHers are from Uranus is what I'm going to say.
I've got my letters too, but I'm sure I've got plenty of things undiagnosed. Happily.
Yeah. Well, I don't use it as an excuse, but I like to kind of warn people, like if I get on your nerves or I seem a little hyperactive as that's what they called it when I was younger. There was no such thing as
that
ADHD.
is true.
I was only
hyperactive.
I was diagnosed.
I never put that together.
Yep, I was hyperactive, and I can be a distraction in a classroom. I definitely have a problem sitting still.
I jumped out of the window in detention. I have only gone twice. Oh yeah. I jumped
wait. I want to hear this story. Wait,
I don't even remember what put me in it, but I remember me and my friend could not handle detention. It was boring us out of our minds, and we were just wily little buggers, and we jumped out. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed for this, but yeah, we jumped out of the window, and one of the lead counselors came out saying, "You better get back here, get back here." And I took my bottom of my neck and I said, "Gobble, gobble," and I kept running.
What?
Never. I'm really not one to make waves, but yeah, I did school. That was like one of the very few times I went out with a bang.
You are a true breakfast clubber. Molly Ringwald has nothing on you.
That was Orem Jr.
Wait, gobble, gobble? Wait, where did you get that?
Just a silly 8th grader thing.
Did you make that up?
Making fun. Yeah, I don't know. Probably just making fun of old men. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Naughty.
What's the worst thing you think you've ever done in a work field, in a work circle? Do you have a bad embarrassing story?
I don't know if it's really the worst thing, but it was one of my recent films. I was working with a classic. He's been around forever. You would definitely know his name. And he has Parkinson's and little memory lapse here and there. He does mostly superb, quite honestly. He gets around just fine. Yes.
Okay.
And after working together for 3 weeks, he was like, "It's Brittany, right?" Even after like weeks of saying my name, he just had a quick little memory lapse. And while touching up his hair, I never thought I would cross this line. But I'm looking him dead in the eyes and I said, "It's Brittany, bitch." And he goes, "Oh, I love it. I love it." And then I was like, this man is in his 80s. Does he even know who Britney Spears is? So then I was like, "Do you know what that's from?" And he goes, "Nope." And I said, "Well, it's a Britney Spears reference." And he goes, "Oh, I love it. I love it." So it could have gone sour, but that was definitely where a moment where I was like, "Hey, this is kind of naughty. I really shouldn't be like staring an actor dead in the face and saying, 'Hey, it's Brittany, bitch.'"
I love it.
But, yeah,
I think we should introduce you.
Landed well.
I think we should introduce you that way every time now. Hi, I'm Tena, and this is Brittany, bitch.
What about you?
I don't think I've ever really been naughty. I was very, very embarrassed. I was pregnant at the time, and I was working on a project, and I can't say what it is because might give it away, but I was pregnant. And I was exhausted. I mean, like how you're feeling right now. She's just done 3 movies back to back. She is a workhorse and she shows up and still shines. But I had pregnancy brain and I had everything laid out to take off a toupee at the days. And I think we're already 5 months into this project. And I went home. They wrapped me. I walked into the trailer, grabbed my stuff, went home. I get a call from the first AD and the person that I was supposed to meet up with to take off their toupee had to take it off themselves. And luckily they had done theater and they didn't take it out on me, but he was yelling at me and telling me I could have been fired for that. And what was I thinking? And just went off on me. And that was like the most embarrassing thing I think in my career that I forgot. And I would just blame it on my pregnancy brain. And I was so tired, but I did have everything all laid out.
Yeah.
And so he was a doll and helped get it off him. He did it himself and didn't even, honestly, he just like, "Oh, that was no big deal, you know." But I was very embarrassed and I felt very unprofessional. It wasn't the gobble, gobble, grab your neck.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that.
But it was, we're trying to be professional. We want to take care. We're very much in our trailer world of hair and makeup arena. We are nurturers. It is the safe place, and actors and actresses can have their moments in there. And what happens in the trailer stays in the trailer is truly.
Well, except for when you're in a garage, because right now we're in a garage and DIT is like, "I like being in the trailer with you." I'm like, "I'm sure you do."
Oh my goodness. So yeah.
The grips are right next to us.
Yep.
We've got our AD department in the next bay and they're all getting the behind the scenes of the hair and makeup trailer.
Oh, I forget that. We literally are in a 4-car garage working right now. And it's just easier than working down the hill, and it saves time from transporting our actors to and from a base camp, if you will.
Right.
And so they put us in a 4-car garage and we brought in everything to set up basically 2 to 4 stations of getting people ready. And we have a curtain, which sometimes we think that curtain's a wall. So we're just rambling on or talking our private business, and somebody now and then will just kind of pop up from the other side and say something.
And there's also a door like directly to go down to work costumes and the production office too. So it's a hot spot. People love it.
Yeah, it feels more like a hallway than our little stations, but yeah. It's a community. That's the baseline of what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to what we're doing and why we are even on this podcast called Uniting Artists. It is something we feel passionately about. We both have our traumas, our dramas, our experience, our highs, our lows, the good, the bad, and the ugly of what is going on. But we decided to start something from just a little light bulb going off in our brains about, I dragged her into starting a community.
Like you said, you drugged me into it.
I might have. I drugged her. I put some Diet Coke in there. I'm like, you will perform.
Yes.
Uniting Artists is a platform that we're building for our community, and we really want to help people out. And so we're excited to have that launch. It might not be until the first quarter of next year, but hopefully sooner. But we are building something that we hope will support our peers.
Yep. And we're starting with our community. We're starting with hair and makeup because that's what we know. But we ultimately want every single department to be a part of it, even the future that wants to join. So, we're really spread out over, different unions and Facebook groups, but there's really nothing really truly bringing us together in one solitary area. And we have quite the extensive roadmap, but we have a lot to share. Can't quite give it all away yet. But what we can tell you is that we are starting with a community in this podcast to bring and enlighten our entire film industry, lift us up in these weird, dark times, and, talk it out through a safe place, support the side hustles, especially if those side hustles can be looped and wrapped back into the film industry. Because why not build and unite artists? And I think a lot of us have realized that, the world is heavy enough and we don't really need a whole lot of mean girls. And unfortunately, sometimes our industry, I think a lot of people will act out of lack. And right now it is very scary. And there, is a lot of big fish in small ponds, and it's getting a little ruthless. But I feel like more now than ever, we actually need each other.
Yeah.
So if we can step back, take a breath, really, gauge the temperature of the room and understand that a lot of this doesn't really have so much to do with us. It's just, there's a big change in the industry, but there is still a part of us in there and a part for us to play our part. And I believe in that. And that's what we're here to do.
That's right. Because we believe when artists support artists, everyone prospers.
Woo! Woo! You want to tell them about beta blocks? How you wrap me into that?
Oh, yes. Well, yes. So, I think it was like mid-December. Our algorithms are happening on our phones and they're listening. And I'm always talking about wanting to give back and mentor people and how blessed I feel about my journey. And this thing pops up saying it's a competition reality show for entrepreneurs. I'm like, I answer the questions. I get an email back. Congratulations, you're on to the next level. I fill that out. Congratulations. Another email comes through. You're ready to be interviewed by our casting person. I take that call. I do the interview. And she's like, okay, here's the dates. You're cast. And I'm like, oh my word, what am I going to do now? And I thought somebody who I tried to do an educational platform with before would be my cohort, but it wasn't the right timing for her. She told me, thanks, but no thanks. But we had all worked together with Brittany, and she's like, do you know Brittany's into education stuff? I'm like, wait, what? I just loved Brittany. I thought she was an incredible asset to our team. And I didn't really know much about her, but I did ask her, like, hey, I'm going to do this reality show. I've got this idea for an educational platform. What do you think? You want to do it with me? And she jumped right on board. So I didn't necessarily hook you, but I did bait you. And we went on Beta Blocks TV, which will be available on Prime Video, either this December or January. And it was a week-long boot camp. And it was emotional. It was stressful. long days of learning and regurgitating what we had to learn. And more than anything, I love the network of people we actually met and are collaborating with. And that was kind of the launching pad. And that's where we really dialed in on what exactly is Uniting Artists going to be? What do we want it to be?
And if it was really the guidance of, talking with other entrepreneurs, these judges, because we know what we want, but we know more than anything. We were hoping to go there for some foresight, instead of having hindsight in the future, because we all know entrepreneurship can be a little bit of a leaky bucket. You don't even know where the holes are until you're in it. And you got to patch those holes up one little bit at a time. But I think it was really remarkable to identify some of those things that could be challenges in the future, but we're already making smart choices under guidance of judges and other people that are kind of in it, even if it's not the same subject matter. Entrepreneurship is very independent, but very similar across the board with, similar challenges or things that they might have come across. So I feel like we already had a lot of guidance on that. And I don't understand why I can speak in front of an arena or even a class of like 3,000 plus people. But as soon as there's a camera on me, I kind of forget my own language. So the nerves were insane. It was really hard to learn those things, regurgitate it. And I was like, I kind of learned some of this in my marketing classes at FITM, but nothing's like really applying it into your life and your potential future. So as bootstrapping embryos, we continue and we are just doing our little bits to make something big.
That's right. And I got to say thank you, Brittany, for getting on this with me and being on this journey. I honestly don't know if I'd been this far or even continued if I didn't have your support, your brain, your humor. She brings a lot of humor to our stress and helps us realize, we're doing our best. So yes.
That's all we can do.
That's right. So thank you for listening. Please continue following on our journey here on the Uniting Artists podcast. We are going to be posting weekly, and we will be sharing other people's journeys, the good, the bad, and the ugly, highlighting other film industry people.
Professionals. Yeah. Let us know if there's subject matters you want to connect on. If you guys have questions, you want us to talk out anything, we're here for you to build our community, and let us know. We're here for you.
Thanks for listening. Hey, y'all, join us next week as we highlight another Uniting Artist.
And remember, when artists support artists, everyone prospers.